everybody to yet another subject matter discussion from Open Spaces Consulting. Today we are exploring how one CHRO, HR professional, started his journey on creating a gender equal workplace, including their experience of compliance with the provisions of the PoSH Act and going beyond the compliance to provide supporting processes and a work culture that creates psychological safety for women at work. His journey in creating a mutually respectful culture between men and women at work, and some best practices that we can derive from this particular CHRO's thought process. So let's engage in a thoughtful dialogue and share insights that will empower us to think beyond the conventional and lead our organization towards greater height. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Mr. Nirav Walter, who is the head of human resources of a mid-sized pharma company. He's an innovative business leader, HR business leader with more than 2 decades of experience. He possesses an ability to translate business vision and action and strategy into actionable HR initiatives that improve performance, profitability, growth, and employee engagement. He has a certificate program on strategic management and business excellence from INSEAD and Hero Wired, a certification program on executive leadership from none other than the Ivy League Cornell University, and with an ECP HRM from XLRI Jamshedpur. Nirav continues to learn and acquire new skills every day. He has also acquired professional postgraduate diploma in IR and PM and HRD from the MS University of Baroda during his initial career phase. So welcome Nirav to our session, Enlightened series from Open Spaces Consulting.
Thank you so much, Janita, for having me here. It is indeed a pleasure and a wonderful opportunity to once again interact with you and to speak about this very important topic that we are going to be discussing today. Thank you so much for having me here.
So Nirav, I have seen you over the years, from being a young HR professional and to maturing and growing and learning to becoming a chief HR officer of a wonderful organization. And having shared some of your journey, I have seen how things have evolved within you and how some of the initiatives that you have taken in the various organizations that you have worked for have created the right kind of impact that they should. But today I want to talk specifically about the journey towards creating a gender equal workplace, which I know you are also very passionate about and you are very committed to. So tell us a little bit about that journey. When was the tipping point? When did you realize that this is something that needs intervention from human resources?
So, ma'am, this journey actually began a couple of years back in one of my previous organizations that I worked with, which was typically a service-based organization where it was into providing analytical services, testing services. Ideal situation over there in terms of the kind of gender ratio was a kind of a 50-50 ratio that we had. And my immediate target or goal was to ensure that we are able to maintain that 50-50% of ratio. Having said that, it was definitely a challenge managing different genders and the kind of work pressures, business pressures, where there were challenges in terms of getting people to work long hours, extended hours, and then ensuring that the rules and regulations are being followed was one of the key element of that challenge. However, we were able to succeed on that, and we continued to build on that. When I left that organization, the ratio had improved a bit. We had 60% of females and 40% of males in the organization, and in that, I would definitely give credit to the other team members who were along with me, who were open to such kind of suggestions, and they were willing to take risks. They were willing to take up challenging assignments and then also support the initiative that we had embarked our journey on. So that was the beginning. Over the years, I also got to learn and got to interact with many professionals, many organizations, where they have implemented small bits, and they have seen the changes in the entire mindset. uh, Primarily, everything boils down to the mindset, and for me, that has always been the first point of start. So the first step for a successful initiative, any initiative, has to be mindset. And for this initiative of gender equality and implementing uh, a very gender neutral organization, this has been the first preliminary approach, where we have spoken to people, and numerous discussions, focused group discussions, in terms of getting the inhibitions out of the mind, and then maybe creating that positive image about the entire topic.
So did you not face any resistance to change along the way? Did not some of the men still refuse to change their mindsets and continue in their patriarchal ways and continue to treat women with a different frame of mind? What were some of these challenges in changing of mindsets to people to have a culture which was more gender neutral and more favorable to both the genders?
So, you rightly said, ma'am, that this approach, which is a patriarchal approach, definitely that is is the biggest roadblock. The second is also that, as managements, uh, uh, the budgets are always very tight. So whenever there is a situation where we come up with an idea of improving or introducing a new initiative, or introducing a new infrastructure, that becomes a kind of a discussion topic, uh, becomes a kind of a situation where it has to go through different levels of approvals. So one is the patriarchal approach. Second is the willingness to look at the budgets and to carve out a specific amount for this initiative has been a challenge. Gradually, I see changes. To mention that, in my current organization also, we've been able to create that situation where we have a dedicated budget for this particular initiative. DE and I is one separate topic which has a carved out budget annually, and actions are being then decided, or planned based on that budget, and we then continue with these actions that have been approved.
So we do know that there is something called PoSH, which is prevention of sexual harassment, and that gives us certain rights and privileges, particularly to the female gender. If a woman faces any kind of sexual harassment, there is a procedure and a grievance procedure and a disciplinary procedure that's provided for. Certain structures that support that is provided for. Now this has recently been, introduced in India. But before PoSH existed, how was the culture then? And today, after PoSH, what is the culture today? How would you say that journey has been?
With the passing of time, I think I've seen companies taking lead, and implementing new initiatives, getting to discuss this at the board level, and accepting new suggestions, new ideas. So that change I'm definitely seeing. But then I also, on the same breath, would like to say that there's a lot of distance to cover. Uh, Coming back to the kind of industries that are open to such kind of initiatives, IT, I see that has welcomed this initiative very positively. I see a lot of female employees working and at late hours, and then there are facilities which are given to these female employees. However, the situation is not as good as in any manufacturing industry, which typically works on shift basis, and has a limitation in terms of having female employees working in shifts, because as per the statutory requirements, 7 to 7 is the only timing which allows a female employee to work in a factory premises. So that becomes a challenge. So at the grassroots level, yes, these changes are seen in different industries. I recently read about one initiative that has been adopted by Vedanta across their manufacturing blocks, where they have allowed female employees to work in the manufacturing side. So that is a very courageous step from the organization, and I definitely see that those changes are happening in manufacturing industries also now, gradually, but slowly and gradually it is happening.
All right. But, since the PoSH Act has come in, do you feel women feel, free and to voice their complaints? And do they feel that they have some recourse to some justice in case they have faced sexual harassment? Do you feel, what kind of cases do you typically encounter? And then how do these cases typically end, and what is the logical conclusion that comes out of them?
Two questions that you asked me, ma'am. One has a different answer. The first part has a different answer. So whether the implementation of POSH has made a difference for the female employees or the female workmen? Yes and no. So yes, I say, because there are a good number of population where they are aware of their rights, and people are female employees especially are aware of their rights in terms of what can be done. But then there is also a sizable population which is not aware of their rights, and they accept or they allow this harassment to happen. They accept it, or they are not able to voice out this because they are not aware of the possible actions that can be taken. This is only because of the fear of losing a job, or the fear of retaliation from the individual or the manager, and that stops them to raise a complaint or raise their voice. uh, this is where we in our current organization are also working on the, the the kind of environment that we are creating, or the kind of culture that we are creating, is to voice out, to share their opinions, to share their concerns, and to speak up about such issues. This gives a confidence to the female employees to walk into any senior leadership team members cabin and say, okay, this is what I am going through. This has given a good traction to the entire initiative, and we are able to see that now things are moving in a positive direction. Needless to say, this also is applicable to male employees. It is not only limited to female employees, it's also applicable to the male employees, where we are encouraging this speak up culture, where they are able to come and say, okay, i'm I feel that this female needs to dress up properly, the kind of topics that are being discussed. So if there is a situation where such a kind of situation arises, we have that kind of a culture where we are able to share this concern, or share these views, and we then counsel the females, counsel the males, both ways.
Okay, so you do feel that while there is, legal recourse, women still hesitate to, put a voice to it because of the fear of some backlash. So it's better that we create a culture that supports people to speak up and support different and maybe opposite points of view also.
Right.
So that's in a nutshell what I hear you saying. But I know that over the years, the way your style is and your approach to human resources and gender relations is concerned, I know that you take companies beyond simple compliance with PoSH requirement. You
Right.
actually inculcate proactive and supportive culture for men and women alike. And I've heard the word in your organization called psychological safety, creating
Correct.
a space where both men and women feel psychologically safe and not a gender polarized kind of a culture. So could you
Right.
share some of the best practices that you always take and you have initiated in many of your organizations, just for the benefit of our audience?
So, ma'am, to begin with, this is not a journey that will be achieved in 1 year's time or 2 years' time. So, it's a long-term investment that we will have to make.
Hmm.
Starting in this organization, starting from the discussions with the senior leadership team members, uh, we then formulated a 5-year plan. With each year, we started off saying that for this year, what is it going to be our target? So, for example, for the year one, it is only foundational discussions, or it is a foundational year. What are we going to do in this particular year? For the 12 months, there are certain activities that are charted out. These activities are then being implemented or executed as per the plan. And then we involve our employees and their managers in these activities. Going forward, the year two will be developing, year three will be proactive initiative, then progressive, and the last one is the competitive. Each year has a defined action plan over the 12 months. What are the actions that we are going to do? Are there any focus group discussions? Are there any infrastructural improvements? Are there any policy changes required? Those are the things that are going to be a part of these 5-year plan, and we then monitor this on 6 monthly basis with our DEI task force. So there is a task force that has been formulated. This is a representation of the various employee groups at the site, and then they would be discussing in their respective functions what are the challenges, what are the expectations, and what are the improvement areas. Based on the feedback, we take up these points and then present it to our senior leadership team members, and then it goes to the board level. So these are the kind of initiatives that we've implemented. Being new to this organization, the first step to approach this topic was to build the infrastructure. What infrastructure would mean, say, do we have female security guards at the company? Second is, do we have an opportunity to improve the gender ratio, not only in the company payroll, but also in the contractual workmen? So, if there is a cafeteria, can we employ more female employees in the cafeteria? If it is housekeeping, can we engage more female employees in the housekeeping team? So, those are the areas which are those small, but then they create that impression, or they create that dent, and they are helping us to improve our gender ratio. Third would be look up as a part of the infrastructure, looking at opportunities in terms of how we can uh, make it possible for the female employees to work in the shifts. Can we introduce a more collaborative or a more inclusive work environment in terms of having them uh, use the company's vehicle facilities for pickup and drop, and they can work in these shifts. For to take it a little forward, we also then looked at the kind of security and the safety infrastructure in maybe implementing, or maybe uh, using the CCTV at the shop floor level, and making sure that it is monitored 24/7 would also give us that kind of confidence that there is somebody who's watching. Simultaneously, with different policies, we are encouraging this initiative in such a way that, though we are slow, but we know that whatever steps we are taking today are going to yield benefits in the long run. So those are some few things that we've introduced at the moment, and deliberating more as the time goes, uh, looking at newer opportunities.
So I loved, the set of initiatives and best practices you just shared. But what was the most appealing to me was the fact that you have a long range plan and a strategic intent.
Right.
And it's not just this year or the next few days or weeks or months or 1 year, but it's a long range plan which has a strategic outlook on how do we build in more gender equality and gender neutrality at the workplace.
Right.
It's providing for psychological safety of both the genders, also providing for more mutual respect, and therefore consequently better productivity and better,
Certainly.
work atmosphere and more teamwork, more synergy. I do believe when men and women work together purely for work, there's a lot more synergy that's possible because we all bring different things on the table.
True. True.
The synergy that comes from that is amazing. So I thank you so much, Nirav. This has been an amazing insight and a wonderful conversation. And I do know that many of the initiatives that you have taken, I have seen visible outcomes and visible concrete impact of that. And someday, maybe in another conversation, I'll talk to you about how you've been able to measure the impact, if at all,
Sure.
of these actions that you have taken. But today we are running short on time. Thank you so much. Any one message for the audience of this video, which is mostly HR professionals?
If it is only related to this topic, ma'am, I would say patience is the key. We will have to keep patience to make sure that whatever actions as HR professionals we are taking, it is going to take time to get the traction out of this topic. But unless and until we pursue, it is not going to succeed. So it is on our shoulders to pursue and make sure that we are able to succeed on this initiative.
Thank you so much for that message. Thank you so much, patience and courage, and having strong conviction about what you're doing is moving you in the right direction.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
once again on behalf of Open Spaces Consulting. Thank you.
Thank you.